Sometimes we wonder if our lives really make a difference. Hi, this is Reverend Dale Brown. I wanted to share with you the story of one man who saw the need of a people that he really didn't know much about early on, that he came to know and love, and who, because of that, his life was changed and he made a huge difference in the lives of many. I'll start by posing to you a trivia question. Who is the only former Nazi buried in Jerusalem? I'll give you a hint. It's tied into a movie about this very famous man. Still don't know? The man who is buried in Jerusalem, the former Nazi, is Oskar Schindler. Schindler's life was portrayed in the movie Schindler's List back in, I believe, the 80s or early 90s. And I remember watching the movie and remember the story. You might remember with me that Schindler, at the early part of the movie, was a playboy. He wasn't concerned about much of anything except himself. He wasn't faithful in his marriage. He had a fortune that he had amassed through work and inheritance, and he really didn't seem to care about how the coming to power of the Nazi Party impacted the Jewish people who he knew. All he wanted was for them to keep working to keep his factory going. And so he petitioned the German government for workers, and they gave him a certain allotment of workers so that he could keep his factories going and continue to make money hand over fist without any concern for anyone. He had everything he wanted. And here's where things began to change. He began to see the people who worked for him not simply as slave labor, not simply as persons who were, of a hated race or group of people, but he began to see them as individuals, as real people. And because he began to see them as real people, he began to care. And so he had a list. He developed a list, as we know, of about 1,300 or so employees who were vital to the war effort, vital to his factories, and he protected them, kept them safe, kept them alive during the final solution. When it came time in the war effort to move his factory to Poland, and the idea was that all those who had worked for him previously would be killed or gassed or something of that nature, he asked that all of those who had worked for him previously be taken to Poland. And there he could care for them, make sure they were safe, and spare their lives. At the end of his life, at the end of the war, Schindler has lost everything. He has no more money, no more wealth, no more power. In fact, he's arrested and imprisoned and doesn't really have a very positive looking future. But this is where those persons whom he saved begin to stand up for him and speak for him and talk about the great impact he has had on their lives. From playboy to person of depth, Schindler is portrayed as changing both in the movie, in literature written about him, and in real life. He couldn't save all of the people during World War II, but he did save those who were under his care. 1,300 to 1,400 people are alive because Schindler lived. He wasn't a perfect person. But tell me, have you ever met, other than Jesus, a perfect person? I haven't. God chooses to work through broken, hurting people to make a difference in the world. So here's my question for you. What is God calling you to do and to be about today, this time in your life? With all that's happening in the world and the people who are in great need, what is God calling you to do that will impact and change the lives of people? To me, the most poignant scene in the whole movie is at the end, when those who remain alive when the movie was made, of the people that Schindler saved, come and pay him the respect and honor of placing a stone upon his grave, which is very much in keeping with our Jewish culture and life. Will someone come and place stones on your grave when your life is over? Will your life or my life or anyone's life have meant so much that we have people who are alive because we did something rather than doing nothing? What is God calling you to do and to be today?